Tonight's shave is going to be with this B5 knot from Declaration Grooming. Crazy soft tips. Right now it's got quite a bit of backbone, 44 millimeter loft, and so that density translates into a pretty rigid brush, relatively speaking. It's not going to do too much splaying for you. The Whip Dog handle that I have on is my favorite handle so far. I've got big hands. This is the 24 millimeter handle, and it's nice and tall, and I love the way it feels. Black resin is what this one is, and it's not that expensive, so another bonus. And we are going to put that in a little cup for soaking. Soaking is optional. Some people don't do it at all. I've tried both ways, and I like soaking, so that's what I do. If you don't want to soak, just rinse it really well with water. Make sure all those fibers in there get some water, and just let it sit, while you do your prep work and stuff. And that a lot of people find that that's good enough too. I'll be using this Dollar Tree shave bowl. Well, it's just a normal bowl. It's melamine. Kind of more of a V shape than I usually use. So far I'm really liking it. And it's got a smaller area at the bottom where the bristles can when the bristles hit the wall, that makes them flex. And my view is that if more of the bristles flex like that, then that's what agitates the lather. And so that will help you build the lather quicker. That's my personal belief. And then you've got room. It's high enough though. You've got room enough on the sides for the lather you already built. It's my perspective. I like it so far. We'll maybe look for a different color, but they didn't have that many choices on that day. We are going to be using the Dart from Blackland, new acquisition. This is the machined version, and if you move your fingers slowly along the handle, you can feel the ridges, and those are going to be what helps this razor to be very secure in your hand, even when soapy and wet. It's just terrific. And I've recently had a couple of really good shaves with it so far. After I've learned about the angles and choosing the angles, we'll talk more about that later. The blade we're going to put in it is a Gillette Platinum. This has been used 3 times already. One of my favorite blades. Does very well for me in so many razors. So we'll see how it does in the Blackland Dart. So here's the head of the Dart. I'm going to lift out that. We'll put in and it just sits in there nicely. Perfect alignment every time so far, at least for me. I got a feeling it'll just be that way forever, because those 2 posts beside the center post, they're perfectly wide enough to center them with almost no play in there at all. And yep, perfect. Just a little bit of blade exposure. You can see right there. And it does produce a little bit of audio feedback, but it's nothing of consequence. If that kind of thing bothers you, I don't think you're going to have a problem with it. Once I found the right angle, the feeling of the cut was very consistent and predictable, as if it was being held nicely, securely. The soap for today is one that I've had for a little while and just haven't got around to. I guess this is a 2-ounce puck. Yeah. So if you order Catie's Bubbles and you get the 2-ounce puck, it's going to cost, I think it's $8 or something like that. You can pay more to get the 4-ounce. But this is the 2-ounce guy. And I wonder if there's enough room in there to lather up. Oh, there's some kind of nuggets. I'm going to press those down so they don't become loose soap. Sometimes loose soap doesn't combine very well to make lather, because it follows the brush around instead of getting kind of worked on by the brush. The description for this scent: it's nice, fresh, clean scent to my nose. A fresh, sweet scent that reminds us of 1995. I meant to do some research. I don't know if it's patterned after some type of cologne that was famous back then. It's just it's almost like what you might get with Mitchell's Wool Fat, which is kind of a linen clean scent, but just a little bit more of kind of the fresh, clean aspect to it. Maybe a tiny bit of some kind of citrus note or something if you added that to Mitchell's Wool Fat. I'm just ballparking here, folks. All right, 95 liquid labels, 1995, the year. All right. Last couple of Catie's Bubbles pucks that I've worked on have, I think I'm going to see if I can lather this one inside this tiny tub. And I think it might work better than how I've squished it around and pressed it into the bottom of my bowl. And I think we're ready to go. I'm going to get my face wet. Just to clarify, what's happened the last couple of nights is that I'll use my measuring spoon to divot out the chunk of soap, but then by the time I press it into the bottom of the bowl, it's kind of dried out a little bit, and it's kind of cakey, and so it doesn't really want to stick. It's not as kind of oily or hydrated as many other soaps are. And so then what happens is, if there are fragments, then as I move the brush around, the brush just pushes the fragments around the bowl. So they don't, it takes a lot longer to integrate that into your lather. So I'm just going to try something different tonight. This is a small knot anyway. Even though it's in a 24 millimeter handle, it's a lot smaller than all my other 24 millimeter Badger brushes. I'm just going to try to load it in the little 2-ounce jar here. And I believe we've come to that time. The water here is cool. I like to use it cool and not warm. That's just my style. Don't like to wait for the warm to come to the faucet, and I don't like to worry about it. If you're having inflammation problems and you don't know what to turn to, try cool water. Not saying put ice in it or anything like that, but just try what comes out of your cold tap, and see if that helps you, because the warm water can increase and agitate inflammation. All right, so you can see my brush, kind of, let's just load here. We started at about 38 or 39 seconds. I shook out the water from the brush. Okay, so that is 10 seconds there. Let's do just a 45-second load and see what that looks like. Okay, that was 20 seconds. I'm going to stop at 30 and just look at everything, which is almost there. Okay, I do have kind of a paste going, but it's kind of slow, and that's okay. So what I want to do is add a little water to the situation. I'm going to start with a quarter of a teaspoon. Okay, we started at about 32. So we'll go until, oh yeah, that's working. So there's 10 seconds. We'll go until 02, and so that'll be a 1-minute load, and just to make sure we get enough on here. Almost there. And stop. I'm going to see if I can scrape up some of the hangers on there. Let's just see how that did. We can always go back to the puck and get more. All right. Without anything in the bowl, I'm just going to start, because you just kind of never know with how much you picked up. Because it was such a small jar, it just may not have picked up nearly enough soap. So let's just see what happens. I'm going to add soap by the half teaspoon. I've said this many times, but if you're the kind of person who And there's a good many people who do this because it's very convenient. You take your brush out of the water where you've had it soaking, you shake it just a couple times to make it not just dripping wet, and then that's the water that you use for your shave, and that is just fine. Soaps are just very different, and I try a lot of different soaps, and I found this method is kind of a global method that works really well with just about any soap, and so that's why I use it. If you find a way that works better for you, then more power to you. Okay, so we've already got a nice little lather coming together. It is a bit slow, and so I may not have been able to get as much soap right off that puck as I wanted to. I was watching some of Nick Shave's videos are really good. He's got a lot of them, and some of them are really great at introducing you to new equipment and that sort of thing. And I saw one where he totally just kind of botched his lather buildup, and it was great because it showed you how to fix it. He even applied he didn't put enough water in his lather, and then he applied it to his face. His face wasn't even wet. And it was fine. He just showed you how to fix it. I mean, how many times have you botched your own lathers up? And so now he's giving you a video to help you come back from that. It's a good looking lather we've got going. Maybe I did grab up enough soap, so we'll just see. So I've now put 2 teaspoons of water in this bowl here. So let's see how it comes together. If this looks to be too wet, it's awesome because it's a really easy fix to just spend a few more seconds in the tub to get a little bit more soap, and you're good. Looking really nice. Notice how notice the attributes. It's not a prickly moonscape, and so that's a good sign. That often means that you're almost where you need to be. With different soaps, it varies. Also, I've discovered with different brushes, I have to stop a little sooner with this brush, just maybe because it's so dense with all those fibers and hairs that it affects and makes a denser lather. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of lather right here. Let's do a finger test. Oh yeah, see, it looks like I should keep adding maybe a little bit of water, but the slickness feel here is a little thin. And so with this soap, I've learned that the finger test is, with this brush, I've learned that the finger test is very important to help you to not add too much water and thin it out too much. All right, so what I'm going to do is refill my syringe here, add a half a teaspoon of water to the tub here, and we're just going to, because I put water in there, I'm going to turn it slowly at first here. And we're just going to do it for another, let's do it for another 20 seconds. I believe I started at 08. So let's, just to make sure we have enough soap, we'll do it for 20 seconds. So when it's 28, that'll be 20. And there we go. Since I added water to the puck there, I'm not going to add water quite yet to this. also because when I felt it, it was a little on the thin side. So I definitely want to kind of get a consistent mix here, because the soap that I just brought in from that load is going to be more concentrated with soap than water, and that's what I want since my lather was a little thin just now. If you don't know, the whole Santa's beard thing is great if you're using a spray foam cream, like Barbasol or whatever, because it's just, that's the only way it comes out. But when you mix your own lather like this, you don't want to go with that really thick Santa's beard type look. Now listen, here's the thing, it's all subjective, and so if you find you get good shaves with that and that's your preference, more power to you. But most people seem to be finding that lather is too dry and it doesn't adhere to your skin well enough to protect you. I mean, I guess you could probably get away with it if you've got iron skin that doesn't really need all that much protection, but that's not me. So now, look here. Look at all those moonscape peaks and things like that. With my kind of larger badger brushes that are not as dense as this brush, this is too dry. But for this brush, let's do a finger test. This might be, yeah, see, that's got cushion. I'd say a medium level of cushion, which is, as far as I can gather, it's a little bit of resistance to kind of soften everything up. As I move my finger pads across each other, I can barely feel my fingertips, and so I think my fingerprints. I can barely feel the ridges in my fingerprints. And so I think this is going to be a good place to stop for this particular brush. Before I got this brush, I never knew that a whole different set of kind of rules existed for the different brush types. So far I've only identified 2, but all right, that's the way it is. I always have a goatee. For 20 years now, maybe, I've had a goatee. I can't remember the last time I saw my chin. And I shaved it off just to see how the chevron style mustache would look on me. And now it's time to grow that goatee back. So I am just going to be shaving down this way and not covering the chin area so that I can get that to grow back. Let's get my face wet again. All right, and then we're ready to start putting on some goo. One of the things about this brush, the tips are so soft that you don't feel the softness and the creaminess of the lather as much anymore. You can put a junk lather in this brush and it'll still feel great. So I'm starting with the scrubbing type motions to clean my face, since I don't do any kind of pre-shave routine. The first pass is kind of my pre-shave routine if you have to have that. So the scent is there. I'd say it's maybe a 3 or 4 out of 10. It is, the good thing is I'm getting it. A lot of times things are just so weak that it's not a part of your shave because it's not strong enough to really be in your nose during the shave. And so then, my view is, why bother shaving with it? Just, buy unscented and go with that. But anyway. Feels very good. What we're giving is a little bit of time for it to kind of bond with my skin to establish a nice protective layer. we've got the blade loaded up already. And this was the Gillette Platinum, right? Yep. For the first pass, I've discovered that with the dart, the angle of the handle is very important unless you have more skin that's more tough than the skin that I have, the type of skin that I have. And you can get maximum bite, you know, with an angle maybe about like this. And that's where the blade is exposed to your skin as much as it's going to get. And that will cut down this first pass of hair, of stubble, very nicely. And that's what I've discovered is best for me. Oh, that's smooth. This is the best blade for me that I've had in this razor to take down a first pass. This feels tremendous. This is a world of difference. Very, very smooth. This is the first blade that I've had in this razor, because this is a razor that is mid-aggressive. It's not super aggressive, but it is kind of aggressive. There are some people with sensitive skin out there who would not want to use this razor. Probably would not have a very good experience with this razor. Possible with the right technique and care. There are just so many good mild razors out there for sensitive skin folks. Holy moly, this is the first time I would use the word smooth to talk about. Okay, now you know what? Look at that. This side over here, you see that there's that tendon there, or whatever it is, muscle. You've got one on each side, and I've discovered that over here, if I start in the bottom corner and come up diagonally, it's a very nice angle to hit those hairs with. I get no against the grain resistance or irritation. So I decided just now to try that on this side. And the swirl of this area happens to work that way as well. Really happy about that. This is the best. Wonderful razor that I'm enjoying using. And now I've stumbled upon a blade that makes it even better. Blades are very subjective. Okay, so it may work. It may be this wonderful smooth blade for me. It could be junk or too aggressive or too mild for you. It's just a very subjective thing. Sorry it's that way. Now, if you happen to have skin and hair and technique and the same razor as I do, then that's the closer we'll be. But it's just very subjective. All right, gonna rinse. We'll half rinse. The other blades that I used, even after I figured out the right angles to use, there was blade feel, and it was comfortable and predictable. Nothing wrong with it at all. It wasn't harsh or aggressive once I learned, and however, it was still blade feel. Whereas this, it's one of those like butter kind of things. All right, excellent. Lather up. Said this before, when you do the scrub, it's necessary, especially for the first pass. It's also necessary if you are a face latherer, because you've got to build up that lather. I've already got my lather built, and so this action is mainly just to clean the face, clean those hair follicles, get the dead skin kind of away, and so it's very important to do that on the first pass. but the center of your brush will kind of empty out of soap with this kind of thing, and that's normal. At least it's always worked that way with my experience. And what happens is the soap will gather on the side of your brush, and that's cool because by the time you, before you end your lathering for your first pass, you switch to this type of painting motion, and now you're getting that lather off the sides and back onto your face and smoothing it out for a nice layer. This is the second pass, so I did not need to do that much scrubbing. I just did it for illustration. Very nice. I do miss the longer lofts. It's like if you've ever walked on shag carpeting with bare feet and you're like, oh, this feels so good, you know. And then you've maybe stretched out some really comfortable velour or a polar fleece onto a more hard floor. That's kind of what, for me, that's kind of what this brush is like. The tips are next level soft, no comparison with any other Badger brush I have. But with all that backbone and density that's in there and the short loft, it's like that fleece on the hard floor. And where I think most often I would really more enjoy the shag carpeting, even if the tips aren't quite as awesome and amazing as this one is. All right. So, dart, here we go. So I like this is a good scent. I like this one, Liquid Labels. It is, it's present, I can smell it, but it doesn't have too much of an identity. It's just kind of a clean, crisp scent. Not too crisp. I would say it's a smooth scent, a clean, smooth scent. Maybe it's patterned after some popular 90s cologne or something like that. And so now I have reduced my angle, and I'm not I've reduced my angle, meaning the handle is now a little closer to my face. And that will raises the blade from digging in quite as much to the skin. This is like having 2 or 3 razors all in one, because you can vary the angle. Some razors, if you vary the angle too much, the blade lifts off the skin, or the geometry is such that it just doesn't give you a good close cut. But I had this closed angle yesterday. Walked away with a great close shave. And so to have a razor that can give you a close cut, even when you're not using the kind of optimal center angle that gives you the deepest dig, is a really neat achievement. And Blackland should be very proud. For my skin, this razor does require me to be careful about the folds and stuff. I can't just relax, and if my skin's kind of bunched up in a small way, I can get a little irritation that way. So, and that's good because this is a mid-aggressive razor, so you should have to pay attention a little bit to it. All right, a little rinse. Not a lot of creaminess remaining on my face when rinsing that off, and that's just fine. Obviously, the razor's doing the soap is doing a great job of protecting my face. I'm glad I went back to the puck for this one. Looks like I needed a little more soap in the mix. Third pass here. Don't even have to do too much scrubbing Just kind of paint, spread the love. There are some soaps that are so good that you don't even need to have an opaque layer of cream on your, or lather on your face. It can be even translucent, and you will still get a protected, slick, great shave. So I'll bet Catie's Bubbles is one of those. And there we go. Third pass. I'm going to be very closed about my angle to not irritate my skin. But if I make a run through an area and I feel like I'm not getting any hairs, I can raise up my handle angle a little bit and see if I pick any up. I'm so glad I found a good technique, because not only does it mean that I can just enjoy shaving with less irritation, but it means I'm less hesitant when I bring and want to try out other blades in this razor. I know that even if I get a rough one, I can change my angle and save myself irritation. Very light in this area right here, just very light touches. Light, trying not to put very much pressure at all. Just enough to hold the blade onto the skin. And there we go. The best combination with this dart so far, with this Gillette Platinum, for my skin, may not be for you, but for my skin at least. All right, this was the third pass. I'm going to pause you so I can do some inspection and a good rinse. Okay, I'm really happy with the result right now after the third pass. I usually do have to do a neck only pass again after the third, but I could walk away right now as long as I didn't have a job or a need to be right up close with somebody who needs to make sure I have a good shave. I could definitely walk away right now and feel very good about the shave. But since this is not irritating my skin, let's go ahead and do a fourth pass that's neck only. And we'll just see if we can get this shave from good to great. Haven't read that book. All right. Fourth pass with an aggressive razor. I'm going to be very tender, very careful. My neck hairs go sideways, and so that's why I'm doing either from the bottom to the top or from the top to the bottom, because that's a cross grain pattern my neck cannot handle, and gets very irritated if I do against the grain in my neck. Stretching my neck just a little bit. You don't want to do a lot of stretching. You don't want it to be too extreme. And there we go. It would be crazy if I ended up with just an amazing result to complement the amazing smoothness that I have been getting. So, very cool. Rinse. And dry off so that I can accurately gauge the closeness. For a guy who does not go against the grain, holy smokes. Yeah, that's amazing. That is right up there with some of the best, closest shaves I've ever had, and I can remember maybe two that were this close. So, and actually, this is the platinum. It's possible that the platinum might have given me one of those other shaves. Okay, so this is tremendous. I'm going to run out of adjectives. All right, very nice, very nice. And comfort is great. There's just a mild irritation. It's a feeling, but it's almost not even irritation. And so that's the kind of thing I'm very confident that a good balm will take care of easily. Let us try this one. It is a deal recently that was online, Sapone de Paulo, and this is Pulito, which is olive, musk, and citrus. And maybe Pulito means clean. They wrote that right in green right there beside the words, so maybe that's what that means. Haven't tried this exact one before. I've tried another scent, and I think it does a pretty good job. Maybe I used too much. I haven't used this brand enough to know how much not to use yet. Haha. Plenty. That's good to know. A little goes a long way with this one. And this is I didn't really have a moist face, so this spread easily and comfortably over a face that wasn't all that moist. That's pretty cool. Can I say moist anymore? Maybe I can work that more into my shave, right? It's a weird word. All right, well, I've got a white face now because of this, but that just means I'll be really hydrated tomorrow, right? I think I do smell the olive. Not really the musk. Not really the citrus either. We'll see if it changes. All right, as I'm cleaning up here, I'm going to show you the results, the chemicals. 2.5 teaspoons of water was used in this shave, and I loaded for 30 seconds with just a damp brush in this with and then after that 30 seconds I did another 30 with a 1/4 teaspoon of water added. Then I added, for 20 seconds, I added a 1/2 teaspoon of water and loaded for 20 seconds. And so that's all complicated because I didn't know how to start in the beginning. So what I'll probably do next time is just do the minute load, but just add some more water than I did. That maybe even from the beginning, add 1/2 teaspoon of water from the beginning and do a minute load. See how that works out. It's a simple one. That's a good scent. It's just strong enough to actually smell it, so that's good. For me at least, I like that. At the very lowest, I like to actually get a good whiff of what I'm shaving with. How much lather do we have left after that much lather was created? It looks like maybe I have maybe 2 passes of lather in here. I might be able to get away with 2 passes with this. And that's kind of about how much I like to have left over, just in case I make a mistake or something like that. Hey, I want to take a second to address a common question that we see out there online. You've got moisture now. You just loaded from the tub, you've added some water, you've got moisture in the top of the soap. And so what do? You cap it up and stick it back in storage without a problem. A lot of people do that. Most people report zero problem with that. But some people think that, and some soap people, the makers actually advise you to leave it open for a little while to let it dry out, to get some of that moisture out of there. A lot of people say that that moisture isn't really a problem, mold isn't really a problem, because this is soap. It's kind of got natural anti-mold properties built right into it. That's what soap is. And so that's why most people probably do not report an issue at all. And that's kind of what I do. Sometimes if I feel like it, I will, leave it sitting like that if it's convenient. But so many times I'll just seal it back up and put it away. Some people recommend they just leave it on there, leave it somewhere out open. And then if they shave in the morning, they'll come back after work, seal it up and put it away. To me, that's a little bit too much work. I mean, why not just leave it open all the time? Because especially if you're gonna keep using the same soap over and over. But that is definitely what some people do. Some people leave it open just for an hour, give it a little chance to kind of dry down before they cap it up and put it away. So it's one of those questions that it's totally subjective. People have opened up soap to see a little bit of mold, but it's very rare, it seems. And so pick whatever you want to do seems to be the consensus. All right, so this Gillette Platinum has had 3 uses and is now going to have a 4th notch put on it. I'm going to go ahead and show you while we're here the base plate and top cap and handle of the dart, in case you haven't seen it quite yet. So here's the base plate. You see some machining marks right there. That's the way it came. It's kind of part of the character of this version of the razor. You'll see even more of them on the bottom here of the top cap of the base plate. And that's just, like I said, it's intentional by the maker to give it some personality. It also is going to save you a little bit of money because they didn't have to take the time to buff this stuff out. I detect virtually no edges on here that aren't smoothed down. The very corners, they are a little bit, but you couldn't. I don't think you could work really hard and even cut yourself with that. It's not a problem at all. Let me dry off the top cap a little bit more. Now the top cap has some very precise edging here. And on this, I don't think you could cut yourself, if you bore down super hard, but that would be really kind of unreasonable. Now the corners, you could probably cut yourself, but if you were trying to, I'm not thinking anybody's going to cut themselves inadvertently with this top cap, and that's probably right along the lines of what they were going for. But we do see some more of the machining marks here in the bottom of the top cap. We also see them in the surface of the top cap a little bit. I do plan, if I keep this razor, from what I was thinking just now, I think I probably will. It's just got so much personality. Works great. The grip with the matte finish, it's another name for the machined finish. The grip is just tremendous because of the nature of it, because it's not completely smooth at the micro level. It's got these, it's tiny little, tiny imperceptible grooves that help you to keep your hold. It's just wonderful. But so it's just a tremendous piece. But what I will probably do is figure out some way to polish this up a little bit to kind of get rid of those lines a little bit, because you do not get that kind of look on the handle. The handle's finished a little more. So I think I might try to I don't want to make the top cap a mirror finish, but probably may try to bring it up to the handles level. Everything fits together very precisely. It feels solid. It's well constructed, well designed, nice flat on the bottom to easily stand vertically on its own. At first, I didn't really like the swoop right here, but once I held it in my hand, it's nice. And if you do rest your finger on the bottom to give you a little bit more control, then that's obviously a great place to do it. I don't tend to do that. My grip tends to be a little closer up in so that I don't have a lot of leverage, so this can be kind of free floating over my skin, so it doesn't dig in very much. However, what I've found is that because of that closed angle that I used for the second, third, and fourth passes, a lot of times I am holding it kind of like this, loosely, but I'm holding it like that when I'm shaving my opposite side. And of course, this kind of shape lends itself perfectly for that kind of grip. I'm going to keep cleaning up. One of the interesting things is the way your nose works with scents. I just put on a little bit of Old Spice on the back of my neck so it didn't really mess with my hydration effect going on. I've got it in my hands, of course, and then I decided, let's smell this liquid labels again. And I'm smelling a woody note in there. Did they say anything about that? A fresh, sweet scent that reminds us of 95. It's very faint, but there's a tiny little bitterness of a wood, and it's there after I smell the Old Spice. Isn't that interesting? Now, most of what I get is kind of that clean, fresh smell, and it's not it's more of a milky smell perhaps than a detergent-like clean, and I'm liking that because I don't like the detergent type smell. So this is a nice, easygoing scent. It is strong enough to get you involved a little bit, but only just. So that's a good one to have around. And obviously the Catie's Bubbles performance is tremendous, not to be missed. So there we go. We are letting the goatee grow back. The Gillette Platinum provided me with a smooth, very enjoyable shave. And that's the best blade for the dart for my skin that I've tried so far. Some of the others I've tried, Gillette 7 o'clock black, Gillette silver blue, Pole silver, and what did I try? A Wilkinson sword. And so in this sense, the Gillette Platinum, it works well with a lot of my razors. And so this may be one of the few blades that is, it's a little more expensive. I like to watch for sales and things and pick it up then. But it's one that might be a little bit more along the lines of worth. You get more for what you pay, get what you pay for, kind of thing. But it's subjective. Remember that. Go to tryablade.com and you can buy them individually, like a 5-pack. It's the way they come, or you can just buy 2 or 3, or get a sampler that has that in it, and give it a try. If you have a dart and if you have skin like me, then it may be very successful for you. It may be a great match for you like it is for me. So the Catie's Bubbles did provide a very slick lather for me. It's a vegan soap, and so, but in this case, I don't miss the tallow. Tallow is a great ingredient. I love soaps that use it in most cases, but it's not necessary to get a great shave. So very nice. Finger check your lather, instead of relying on looks with when you're using such a dense brush like this one that the Declaration that I was using. And this was just a little mild shave with this scent. This particular, I do also get on the Pulito, Sapone de Paulo, it's like a lotion scent. I don't really care for it very much. It may be part of the olive. I don't smell a lot of musk or citrus, and so I might tend to use this if it turns out to make my skin feel good. Yeah, see, it's all absorbed by now. I have 0 irritation, and so we'll test my hydration a little bit later, just the skin, and we'll see if it's an effective balm, because if it is, that's definitely a reason to keep it around. And then maybe pair it with a stronger scent, aftershave splash to help you with the scent. So I think we're good. I hope this helped you out. And this is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Having you have a good night. Take care. And we are good. It's time to go to sleep. And nice feel, very hydrated, smooth. I think this is going to be a good balm. So take care. Night.